Welcome to Souped Up Recipes. The weather is getting cold lately and I'm craving on some nice comfort food. Today we're making 面疙瘩汤. It's like a homemade Chinese style shaped pasta soup. So easy to make. No fancy tool required, only scissors. So let's get started. First, we will make the 面疙瘩, which is what I call Chinese shaped pasta. Unlike hand-pulled noodles, this doesn't require pulling, so technically you can use whatever flour you want, such as bread flour, noodle flour, all-purpose flour, or even whole wheat flour. The type of the flour that you use does decide the texture and the taste of the final product. To me, I prefer this Korean brand. The noodles come out smooth and chewy. I think it's the best out of all the brands that I have tried. When making noodles, it is better to scale the ingredients. We need 400 grams of flour. Add 1 teaspoon of salt to 180 to 200 grams of water. In general, bread flour can absorb more water compared to all-purpose flour, so you should slightly adjust the water amount based on what you use. Pour in the salt solution to the flour in batches. Once it looks like this, start gathering the flour together. Don't forget to scrape the bottom and the side of the bowl. In about 6 minutes, you should have a rough dough like that. Cover it and let it rest for 20 minutes. 20 minutes later, the dough should be much softer and pliable. Knead it for about 6 minutes, and you will get a smooth, elastic dough. Cover it and let it sit for another 20 minutes. After the second rest, put the dough onto the working surface, roll it into a long log. Get a rolling pin, flatten the dough into a thick piece. There is a bubble, that's okay, doesn't affect anything. The width of this thick sheet is about 4 inches. We're gonna cut it in half like that. It will be easier to work with. In a big bowl, sprinkle a layer of flour to prevent stickiness, just a couple tablespoons. Use scissors to cut the dough into these small pasta pieces. If you cut it bigger, it will be chewier. If you cut it smaller, it will cook faster. Up to you. Doesn't need to be even. That is the beauty of homemade pasta. Make sure you stir those pieces once in a while so they don't stick together. Separate them if you see any. Keep cutting it until you finish. There are many ways to make 面疙瘩. Some people like to use knife. Some people just use their fingers to tear a small piece of dough off. I found scissors are convenient. The amount that I gave is enough to serve 4 to 6 people, but I'm only serving 2 today, so I'm gonna put half of the noodles into the container and freeze them. Whenever you want to cook them again, don't need to defrost, just directly boil them. Now you have the 面疙瘩 made. Let's cover it for now, and we'll move on to other ingredients. You will need 3 medium-sized tomatoes. You can also use canned diced tomato to save some time. A quarter of a medium-sized onion, finely diced as well. 4 cloves of garlic, finely minced. Crack 2 eggs. Stir them well until you cannot pick up any obvious egg white. Otherwise, the soup won't be as silky. I am going really fancy today, so I prepared lots of seafood. Some peeled and deveined shrimp, some salmon that I cut into these nice large pieces. Sea scallop. They are quite wet, so I used a paper towel to absorb the excess moisture. It helps you to get some nice golden crust when you sear them. If you're allergic to seafood, you can change to other meat like chicken, beef, pork, or just simply skip it. Okay, let's start cooking. Heat up your wok. Make sure it's nice and hot. Add about 3 tablespoons of cooking oil. toss in the onion and garlic immediately. By the way, if you're interested in this beautiful carbon steel wok, the buying link is in the description. It's a must-have cookware for you to make proper Chinese food, so go check it out. When the onion becomes soft and translucent, introduce the diced tomato in. Keep stirring it, then add 2 teaspoons of salt and 2 teaspoons of sugar. Salt and sugar will help to bring out all the flavors from the tomatoes. In a few minutes, the tomatoes should start dissolving. Pour in some chicken stock. I'm using the store-bought ones because I'm out of homemade stock today. This bottle here is about 4 cups. Don't pour it all at one time. Save a cup in there. We'll use it later. Cover the wok and bring it to a boil. Add in the mian疙瘩. Make sure you shake off the excess flour before you add it to the wok, or else the soup will be too thick. Stir continually so they don't stick to the bottom. Wait for it to come back to a boil. Now it is the time to use the leftover stock. It will drop down the temperature immediately. Keep stirring until it comes back to a boil again. Pour in the egg. Stir immediately. This is kind of like a different version of egg drop soup. If you already love egg drop soup, you will definitely love this recipe. Give it a taste and adjust the saltiness. Turn off the heat. Traditionally, the recipe ends here. You can serve and it tastes delicious. But as I mentioned before, I am going luxury today. So on the side here, I have a frying pan with some olive oil, nice and hot. Adding all the seafood, we're gonna pan fry them. If you want to make this a one-pot recipe, you can directly add the protein to the soup, but browning does create more flavors. Simply sprinkle some salt and pepper. You can use other spices as well. I do want to enjoy the natural flavor of the seafood, so I am keeping this recipe as simple as I can. Shrimp usually cooks the fast. Each side takes less than a minute, so flip them first. When you cook different types of protein in one pan, just go by the color. Make sure your flame is at high so you can get some nice golden crust. Sprinkle more salt if needed. Take out the ones that are already done because you don't want to overcook them. Scallop takes the longest time to cook. Each side needs a couple minutes. Also go by the color. Look how beautiful they are. Add it to the soup, mix, and you are done. Sprinkle some cilantro and scallion as garnish. If you don't like cilantro, you can do parsley. This tastes unbelievable. As a Chinese recipe, you might be surprised that there is no soy sauce, oyster sauce, or any tricky finding ingredients in it. The only 2 seasonings we used are salt and sugar. It's that simple, but it is incredibly tasty. When you take a sip, the warmness, the creaminess are slowly surrounding you. So comfortable. The seafood is nicely charred and perfectly cooked, has great flavors and lots of nutritions. I understand scallop is a little pricey. You can go with more affordable meat, and that's what we do traditionally. Trust me, this recipe will warm up your whole winter. I hope you give this a try soon. If you did, leave me a comment, let me know how it goes. As always, you can click the link in the description and find the printable recipe. For those of you who already bought my wok, here is a wok recipe playlist. Go check it out and explore Chinese cuisine. If you don't have a wok yet and you're interested in buying one, the buying link is also in the description. Go check it out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!